Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mus, and today I'm actually going to be going over what I personally believe are the top 15 best spells and traps specifically printed in 2020. So not just every single good spell and trap that was played this year. They're also not really ranked in a specific order because that would force me to kind of consider too many things, like how meta impactful they are, how good they'll be in the future. So I tried my best with that, but that's just obviously not something that you can evaluate in a objective manner. It's really just my perspective and really my thoughts on all of that, which is kind of irrelevant because I stopped playing in, April, because I just kind of realized then that coronavirus was obviously gonna stay for quite a couple of years, which is sad. But yeah, anyways, before you start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And yet, let's jump right into it. Alright, so for our number 15 spot, we have Opening of the Spirit Gates. This is a continuous spell that was played in, I guess, Eldritch, quite a few other weird decks that kind of like to splash other things that are like one card Needle Fibers, one card Curious, stuff like that. By the way, just letting you know, I'm not putting the images on the screen because I don't want people to skip over the video. Just, yeah, I always do that and I will always do that. The Opening of the Spirit Gates is just that one continuous spell that did a lot because you could actually search for a monster that's specifically listed for, I think it's a Sacred Beast or something, whatever. I forgot. Kind of reminds me a lot of Brilliant Fusion in a way because you have to play bad cards for your good cards to become good. Also, it was just kind of, I don't know, it was definitely kind of niche, and this is why it's just at our number 15 spot. Number 14 is a card that I think is kind of unrealistic. If you had to tell us that a card like this would be good in 2020 and probably in 2021 and going like onwards, I would be like, no, this makes no sense. But it is actually Triple Tactic Talents. If we actually had this card in, I don't know, like 2016, 2017, 2018, there definitely would have been formats where would have been good, but it wouldn't have been like a tier 0 unfair, broken, ridiculous card. And a lot of people, upon reading this card, they were like, this is by far the best card I've ever seen in my life. It will get banned the first event you'll play it with. Seriously, this card really didn't end up being that unfair, because if you don't play monster hand traps or if you use them on draw phase or standby, well, you're not really gonna get punished by that. And unless we're living in like a really combo dedicated, like heavy format, you can just play like board removal cards. And obviously Konami has kind of not really been going too ham on the ban list because, well, I mean, there's no in real life event, so why would they, do something huge and kill a lot of decks when they can just kind of let it, happen, let people suffer a little bit, and then in 3 years when coronavirus dies, then they can finally ban everything and we kind of restart from scratch. Yeah, now I guess you know why I hate Triple Tactic Talents a lot, but anyways, rank number 13 would be Shadow's Schism. This was a really good card in, I guess, Dragma Invoke strategies, but most importantly, I want to say this card is really good for Shadows. Duh, it's a Shadow card. A lot of people, when they first read it, they weren't really thinking, oh yeah, let's just play this in Shadows. Really kind of just said, okay, yeah, Dragma cards can easily send, with Disciple of the Year, you can send like Apkalone, search this, you don't even have to play any Shadow monster in your deck, and you can summon Winda during your opponent's turn. So I guess people just considered every Shadow monster to be a break, and this is why, they're not trying to play them. This card definitely has a lot of potential to be good in the future, because when you think about it, Shadows were good in 2014, and they are still good right now. A deck that kind of existed for that long definitely shows a lot of promise, and this is why I think Shadow's Schism is definitely one of the best cards. Number 12 would be a card that is pretty specific to Eldritch, Cursed Eldland. There's nothing to talk about this. I mean, it's a really good card. Clifford Scout for Eldritch, it's not searchable though, so number 12 is the best it can get. Number 11 is probably a card that has caused a lot of problems for a lot of people, and that's Virtual World, I think, Gate Chooch. This is the continuous trap card for Virtual World, so pretty much by shuffling back 2 of your banished Virtual Worlds, you can pop a 1 card on the field during their player's turn, including your own cards. If it didn't allow you to destroy your own cards, I think it would have been way more fair. Ironically, being able to destroy your own VFD is the way you can protect yourself from a lot of really annoying cards like Forbidden Chalice Infinite if you use, I guess, VFD on draw phase or standby. It's way too good. It also does a lot even if you don't have VFD, so because of that, I think Virtual World Chooch is definitely one of the best cards. Drytron Nova is the normal spell card that summons any Drytron monster from your deck to the field directly, and it is searchable by the field spell, which obviously is searchable by Terraforming and other crappy cards like Planet Pathfinder that you'll obviously never play. Set rotation, I guess, but I mean, just whatever. Basically, when you read Special Summon from your deck in any card in Yu-Gi-Oh!, usually you're going to end up with like a pretty good card, except if like the card is a Giant Rat or D-Boys or some garbage like that. But yeah, Drytron Nova, obviously, definitely a really good card. Number 9 is one of my personal favorite, and and that is Ice Dragon's Prison. It's a trap card this time, and you can revive back any monster in your opponent's graveyard in defense or attack, which is crazy because you can revive back Link monsters. It's better than, you know, Back to the Front. And then you choose, you're not forced to banish one monster on your field and one monster on your opponent's field without targeting that have the same type, and the monster that you brought back has its effect negated. So ironically, this allows you to do so much because you can interrupt your opponent's graveyard while also interrupting their board presence. It's kind of like a 2-in-1. It's better than a DD Crow. Of course, it does require a bit of setup, and nothing forces you to instantly banish the monster that you brought back with Ice Dragon's Prison. So if you want, you can revive back like a Conductor Tyranno from your opponent's graveyard, and then banish like another dinosaur you had on your field with a dinosaur on their field. And obviously, if you use this during like battle phase or something, well, you don't have to be afraid of Miscellaneous Oris because it only affects their dinosaur monsters during the main phase. Number 8 would be Chaos Space. This card is obviously incredibly good. It'll keep seeing play, you know, over and over and over again, but it was especially good in Dragon Link, which is now 100% officially dead. It lost just way too many cards. It is now considered a fair deck, and fair decks are just never good enough in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you want your combo deck to be really, really good, it has to be unfair, doesn't give any chance of your opponent to win, and pretty much what made Dragon Link way too good was the fact that it removed cards from your opponent's hand while making Buster Lock and negates to back it up. So regardless of how you deck built, you could actually simply not win. If you played cards like Super Poly or Kaijus or whatever, you needed too many cards to win, because once you use something, well, you're down to like 3 cards. Super Poly couldn't be used because of Buster Lock. So you see where this is going. You always have to deal with too many things. Dragon Link is now dead, but that doesn't mean that Chaos Space is unplayable. I think Chaos Space will still see a lot of play in Chaos-based strategies, which first time we saw Chaos support was in what, like 2004, something like that, maybe even before. So no, we're definitely not like done with that yet. Don't worry, Chaos Space will definitely see another time to shine, I guess, very, very soon, I think. Number 7 is, I guess, a two-way tie because they kind of work together, and those are Conquistador and Scarlet, the Eldritch chaps. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to elaborate on that because on top of being really good cards, I mean, once again, a trap card that summons from the deck or graveyard, which kind of, I guess, can screw you over because you can get Ghost Bell and Ashed, but it's not the end of the world. Conquistador destroys a face-up card on the field without targeting, which is incredible, and it happens on resolution, so you kind of dodge skill drain since it's not on the field that it's actually going to activate. It's not like on a separate chain link, and they both float in the graveyard, which is ridiculous. Like, they didn't even need those effects to be good in the first place, but the fact that they actually replace themselves almost infinitely, because the cards that you're going to tutor out with these two cards are cards that can lead to the cards that actually led to them in the first place. So you can kind of see where this is going. If they actually had the ability to recur from the graveyard to the hand or field or banish to the grave without playing any garbage cards like Aladentado or something like that, the deck would have been a little better in the grind game, but still it doesn't mean that the deck cannot grind. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's probably one of the better grind decks that we have at the moment. So yeah, Eldritch definitely really, really good. Number 6, I think would actually have to go to Numeral Network and Numeral Calling. I want to say that this actually has a lot of potential to be broken in the future, because right now people are sleeping on Zexal, I guess for a reason that makes sense. The thing is, people are already playing VFD in the format, so if you're playing a card that counters VFD, naturally it's also going to counter Zexal. I mean, obviously, right? They're both Xyz, they're both trying to use their effects on draw phase standby, or when you control a face-up card, like a card or a monster, so you also play through Gamma, well, around Gamma and Imperm. I'm always mixing the like around and through every single time. I mean, just Zexal, and it's not even just Zexal, it's the fact that you can also make other Xyz or links, Mega Club, Sapaloosa, Skulldeed, OTK with the Numeron Gates, pretty fantastic. You only have to commit to like 1 or 2 bad cards in the form of Numeron Calling, but your Numeron Network, Numeron Wall, Terraforming, all of that, pretty good cards. They're 1-card starters. We're down. Number 5 is a huge, extremely problematic card that just does a bit too much in one single spell card, and that is Nadira's Servant. So once again, it can get ashed and belled exactly like, you know, Scarlet for Eldritch. Pretty much Nadir is kind of a card that just applies too much pressure. The fact that you can send a card from your extra deck to the graveyard just gives you too many options. You can send Elder Entity Entis to pop a card on the field, and you can also send Titanic Clad to search during the end phase. Actually, it's better than Skarm, because not only do you have the option to search, but you can also special summon. So if you want to play around Nibiru, your summon number 5 can be during the end phase for Ecclesia, and obviously, you know, you can't really get Nibiru during the end phase. Nibiru is main phase only, and then you get to search for Fleur de Lis, and your Nadir Servant can actually search another card with attack equal or lower than the monster that you sent. So obviously, you can't really make this work with Herald, but this is actually going to be a possibility with the new ritual monster that we're getting very, very soon. Actually, I don't even know if it's that soon, but yeah, it's a pretty good card. Actually, I think it's the first set of the year. No, that's pretty good. Or the second. Anyways, yeah, Nadir Servant is just a fantastic card. You can send Apkalone to search for Shadal Schism. I mentioned this at the beginning of my video, and other cards. So yeah, definitely don't sleep on Nadir Servant. It is just a matter of time before it gets semi-limited or limited for that matter. Number 4 is pretty much almost identical to Nadir Servant. It's Dragma Punishment. If you're playing Dragma Punishment, there are high chances that you're playing Nadir Servant, but if you are playing Nadir Servant, it is guaranteed almost that you play Dragma Punishment, unless you're playing like a really dedicated combo deck and you don't want to lose the ability to summon from the extra deck during your next turn, except if you use this during your own turn, because then during your rest of the turn, you can summon from the extra deck, and during your opponent's turn, you can't. But that doesn't necessarily matter unless you're playing Shadal Schism to summon Winda during your opponent's main phase. Just Dragma Punishment is insane. It's a huge power creep card. It's better than Ring of Destruction for so many reasons, and Ring of Destruction without its errata, it would have been a good card in today's standards, but Dragma Punishment is like the 2-for-1 deal. You pop 2 cards proactively with just one simple card, which is super easily searchable, and in decks like Eldritch or maybe even Altergeist, you don't necessarily, or Guru, I guess, you don't really need your extra deck that much, so being able to do this much with just one single card. Also send the Wind Pegasus at Ignister to be able to shuffle back cards if you don't want to destroy and you know that they're going to destroy your cards. You can even search it with Trap Check, so yeah. Number 3 is a card that I like a lot, that I think is 10 times better than Triple Tactic Talents, and that is Forbidden Droplet. This card will always be good regardless, no matter what, literally, unless we're living in like control format city. If your opponent has a lot of negates, you don't really have to care too much. You can just use a bunch of cards and then at the end go Forbidden Drop, boom, 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 negate, negate, negate. They can't really respond with anything, and if you send like a monster and a trap, they can negate with, I don't know, like Infinity Vortex or Solemn Judgment, which is kind of nasty. It's kind of similar to Dark Ruler, but it's a quick play, which makes it even better and doesn't prevent you from dealing damage this turn. And of course, this card was printed in 2020, unlike Dark Ruler, which is a 2019 card. So Forbidden Drop definitely deserves its number 3 spot. Number 2, I think, would have to go to Virtual World Gate King Long. This is a continuous spell, but you're not really using it as, you know, a card that you activate from your hand to the field. If anything, this is a card that you're always trying to foolish with your Virtual World monsters. And the reason why this card is literally that good is because it transforms awkward, bad hands in Virtual World into hands that are suddenly extremely aggressive, because almost any Virtual World monster can always turn into any other Virtual World monster that you really want to. And when your King Long searches for something like Lulu, well, guess what? You're gonna search another card. So yeah, with one single random Virtual World, you can end up searching multiple times, getting access to the trap, eventually getting access to those level 9 synchros, make VFD, maybe end on a Shen Shen at like 2, which is the Macrocosmos for the deck. So yeah, I don't know, Virtual World King Long I think is actually better than Chooch. It's more impactful. If Chooch were to get banned, Virtual World would honestly still be a respectable deck. It's just that your VFD would be more at risk. If Virtual World King Long gets banned, Virtual World is 10 billion% unplayable because it'll suffer ridiculously inconsistency issues. Last and definitely not least, yeah, Adamancipator Friends. That's by far the best normal spell card of 2020. It's Adamancipator. Yeah, of course. I'm obviously joking. The best card I want to say is the card that I think will always see play no matter what, especially if it stays at 3, which it is right now, which to me doesn't make any sense because a banned card almost has the exact same effect. I guess this banned card is no longer a banned card, and I guess I probably gave it away. This card is Lightning Storm. I think Lightning Storm is the best card of 2020 because it is a side deck card which can literally honestly be sided by absolutely everyone and during literally any format. Not only can this destroy every spell or trap your opponent controls, which is basically a Harpy's Feather Duster 2.0, but also gives you the ability to destroy every every attack position monster your opponent controls. The only drawbacks is that it is once per turn, which I guess Harpy's Feather Duster is indirectly once per turn since it is, you know, a one of, obviously, but, you know, you could still recycle it and use it again. But Lightning Storm being able to also destroy attack position monsters was extremely impactful, and it is kind of a psychological thing, because when you know that a card like this exists, you'll always want to summon your monsters in defense. It makes it so if you misplay, you get punished even harder. Oh no, I should have summoned my monster in attack. Now I have to waste my negate on this, and since it's like you can only activate once per turn, if you drew like other copies, you can use it again. Same thing with Solemn Judgment. Let's say I have one Solemn Judgment and 4 other traps. I have 2 Lightning Storm. You know, I go Lightning Storm, destroy everything. They go Judgment, pay 4k. I'm like, nice. Now you spent 4k, I'm gonna Lightning Storm you again. And now my OTK is a joke, and I don't even have to be as scared of like hand traps, because literally 2 summon gets me there. Like Gem Knight Garnet and I don't know, yeah, not Garbage Lord, but still, you get the point. So yeah, honestly, I think these were the top 15 best spells and traps that were printed during this year. If you guys have any comments or feedback or any other cards that you think were really, really good, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these, and that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.